Hello YouTube, it's Rock here from the Whisky Library. Today I thought I'd do a quick review on a Lagavulin 12 2020 release, limited edition. I thought I'd do this review because I've got a bottle here which I only just recently cracked open and it's going at the rate of knots. So I thought I'd better do this review before this bottle is completely empty. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Whisky Library. It's fair to say for whisky lovers that know their whisky, Lagavulin will be a name that everybody knows about. It's a famous whisky from Islay off the west coast of Scotland. It's renowned for its smokiness. I suppose that's its claim to fame. So for new people that are perhaps new to whisky or learning about whisky, this is very much a smoky whisky. And that comes from the peat close to the sea, full of iodine, hospital sort of smokiness. It's not one for the faint-hearted, but for those whisky lovers that know their whisky and also love the smoke, people will love this whisky. Now, Lagavulin's been around since about 1816, so it's been around for a couple of hundred years. It's only been traditionally a smaller whisky producer. I should point out that Lagavulin distillery is actually in the town of Lagavulin, and interestingly, the neighbour of Lagavulin is Laphroaig. It's also another Islay whisky producer, and actually over the years they've had quite a few disputes over, where basically Laphroaig has claimed that Lagavulin is trying to copy their whisky, and disputes over the water and the land and a few other things. One other interesting thing to note is Lagavulin has these strange pear-shaped stills, and they have quite a slow distillation process, which they say imparts unique flavour of Lagavulin. I suppose the most famously known for the 16-year-old Lagavulin, and for a long time, they produced just the 16. And now and again they would do a distiller's edition, of which this is one, and the distiller's edition do vary. This is the most recent one, which I'm going to review today, from 2020. Sort of got this flora and fauna, sort of the animal and the plants on the label. I'm not sure if you can see that. And in the past they've also done their distiller's edition. To be honest, I'm not sure why there's a difference. This one's probably 12-year-old. The distiller's edition that they release every couple of years or every year, couple of years, just depending. That's an on-age statement whiskey. Both about the same sort of price point, and can be actually a bit tricky to get hold of. Now, I suppose the first thing, we'll crack this open here. And I did say at the beginning of this video that I'm a smoky whiskey lover, so I love the Lagavulin, Laphroaig, the smoky whiskies from Islay. It's not for everyone. And I just, when I had this whiskey, wow, I cracked it open. It's not a cheap bottle, a couple hundred Australian dollars at least. And I thought, wow, I looked at the color. I don't know if you can see in the color in the bottle, and it's such a light color for a whiskey. And they say you drink or feast with your eyes, and taking a look at that, particularly for whiskey people, they like their whiskies to be darker in the bottle. It's more appealing, likely to sell more. And I thought, I know Lagavulin traditionally you always have that pale sort of gold, yellow, straw look about it, but seeing it in this clear glass as opposed to the usual Lagavulin dark glass bottle, it really reinforced actually how light the whiskey is. And for a 12-year-old, I mean, these would be coming out of fairly big barrels, but still quite light. And I'll just hold this up in the glass so you can see that. Light, pale gold, straw, very light colour. So I'm going to, after looking at the colour there, I'm going to nose that whiskey and just sort of try and soak up what I'm getting on the nose. I mean, to be honest with you, as soon as I opened that bottle to pour it, the waft of smoke and iodine and salt air just rushed out of the bottle at me. It's an incredible smelling whiskey, almost, you know, almost I'd say leather sort of notes, almost like you're smelling, you know, you've got a leather bag, and you know when you first pick up your leather bag, you get that, just that waft, particularly when the bag is, you get that leather smoke, leather smell. I really got that just straight out of the bottle, believe it or not. It's hard to get past the iodine, depending on how you say it. Smell. It's obviously, you know, it's not as strong as Kalila, but it's, you know, it's certainly there and it's certainly noticeable. I'd say I get almost a campfire ash smell. You know, when you're sort of camping, you've run your campfire down the next morning or late at night. You've got that ash, that fine ash as it settles, and you know, settles. And if you're around the fire or the next morning, you sort of, and you just you disturb that, you just smell that ashiness. It's got a almost like a cigarette or cigar sort of smoke. They're not strong, but very subtle. Now I might say that I'm just it looks like a lot in that glass, only small tasting glass. I could actually saying Dalmore on the front of that glass. I just like these things. They're actually Dalmore glasses. I just really like them because it gives me a chance to hold the whiskey without necessarily you know, impacting the temperature of the whiskey. Although to be honest, I do like my whiskey colder. And actually, when I've filled up my Glencairn water jug here, I've actually put some cold water, because I'm going to put some water in a second. But let's just taste it straight up without the water. I'll tell you what. Of course, it's cask strength, and it's the end of the day, first drink. And I've taken a big sip of that cask strength whiskey. I'm just reading here off the bottle. It's actually quite hard to see the percentage on there. It's 56.4%, so it's a whopping cask strength whiskey straight out of the cask. And you know, that full-on heat and that full-on cask strength has really hit me. Then you can see the oiliness in the glass, and just where it's, you know, literally gripped onto the side of the glass there and run all the way down. It's potent at 56.4. It's got beautiful smokiness, beautiful sweetness to it. I'm surprised when I first tasted this whiskey for a lager is how sweet it was. And to be honest, I like that. I like sweet Islay whiskies. And this one's got a big hit on it. I'll just read out some of my other notes here that I had down. Yeah, iodine, sweetness, which I mentioned, smoke, a little bit of orange peel I get there. It's probably a little bit overwhelming there, but you get that black peppery spiciness on the back of the throat there as well. Nuts, yeah, I sort of got perhaps, I mean, like so many of these Scotch whiskies, you get that almond note. And I suppose, yeah, oily notes, smoke, cigarette smoke I've got here. Oh, I made a note here actually, interestingly enough. Lagavulin stands for hollow of the mill. Lagavulin, mill, just out of curiosity. So let's just put a bit of water in there now. I've got my Glencairn dropper here. It's a little bit tricky to use, need a license to use this thing. But the good thing about this Glencairn glass dropper is that it only literally puts a few drops into the whiskey. So you know, some people I know use a spoon or some other droppers, and you know, you can easily just put too much in there. I just like a little bit. I do like the whiskey to be colder, I'll be honest with you about that. Probably if I was drinking this personally, I would have you know, probably a larger glass with one small ice cube in there, but you know, a solid filtered water ice cube, and just let that just take that warm edge off that whiskey. The water's really opened up It's really, just those few drops has really opened up the character of the whiskey. It's still very powerful, and perhaps I might just put a couple of more drops in there actually, to be honest. They say that, you should count how long the burn is as you drink your whiskey. So for example, this has got maybe a 15-second burn at least, so you would put 15 drops of water. That's a rough rule of thumb. But at the end of the day, you put whatever water you want into the whiskey to get to the level where you're getting the best taste experience from that whiskey, best enjoyment. So a few more drops in there. Interestingly, I get more of those, that iodine sort of note. That would obviously come in from the peat bogs, salt water, finding its way into the peat bogs. They pull up the peat bogs, burn the peat to dry out the barley, and it infuses that iodine sort of flavour. You associate that with hospitals, because actually, to be honest, iodine helps your wound healing. I think the more I drink this, the healthier I get. I'll be honest. It's absolutely fantastic, and you can see even there the light colour. Look at how light it is. But don't be fooled by this. This is a 56% powerhouse. And I'll just reach over here, and I was looking through Jim Murray, controversial figure that he is. But I was just looking up Jim Murray to see what he had to say about the Lager 12. And it's one of the shortest reviews that I've ever seen Jim Murray write. And he writes, he's given it 94 out of 100, by the way. Bloody hell, this is some whiskey. Bang, that's the end of the review. And I couldn't agree more when I opened it. I was like, wow. So, yep, this is an incredible whiskey. I've actually given this 95 out of 100 as far as the whiskies. Hit the whiskey library with the taste heaps of whiskies. Got, I don't know, thousands of whiskies here, and this is right up there with the best. And to be honest with you, as far as Lagavulin, doesn't matter whether it's the 8, the 12, the 16, the distillers, special releases, they produce incredible whiskies. Even some of the private bottlers that you get, if you can get Lagavulin, private bottling, distillers edition, limited release, do yourself a favour and grab a bottle. You won't be disappointed. This is Rock coming to you from the Whisky Library, and today we've done this review for MyBottleShop.com. So please, comment down below in the comments and let us know what you think of Lagavulin. And if you've had experience with these distillers editions, just write comments so other people can, get different perspectives on the whiskey. Thank you. Bye.